Good afternoon, everyone. Manuel Fernandez here today. In this latest Blackboard clinic, we'll be touching again on Voicethread. There has been some new developments with Voicethread, so we wanted to cover some new functionalities as well as more advanced features to get the full use out of Voicethread. Just to recap from the first video that we did on Voicethread, it's not just a repository to provide students with presentations or images or audio comments or for them to participate with just a little bit more complex of a multimedia aspect. It's a tool that lets you have fully engaged back and forth and two-way conversations with your students and even your colleagues. It has a lot of functionalities, it has a lot of features, and we'll be touching on those today. So just as a reminder, this is how you can create a Voicethread link directly from Blackboard. If you go to your course, you can always go to Course Tools and click on Voicethread. You can give it a name, much different than just Voicethread. This could be something like class presentation, right? And you can say watch this video and provide and ask a question or respond to the slide. So you can go through a presentation and you can create a slide or create an assignment or a participation grade for having them do a comment or answer one of the questions you might have on your slide. If you're familiar, if you normally do presentations on PowerPoint, you might have some class questions you ask your students, and your students raise their hand and say, well, this is what this reminds me of, or this is how I can apply the knowledge provided by this presentation. You can do the same thing with Voicethread. You can also do upload the reading for the material for the class. Say you have an article that you want the students to discuss. Instead of putting it into a discussion board, you can attach it as a Voicethread, and then the students can go ahead and participate, provide their comments and feedback. So again, you can be as descriptive, and the more descriptive, the better. You can give the item a name, right? You can select whether this is going to be a graded value. For the sake of this example, we're just going to go with just a quick Voicethread that the participation is not mandatory, but it is encouraged, right? So we'll click submit. And if you don't click submit and launch, it'll take you back to Blackboard. We'll click back into this class presentation, and it's going to ask you, what do you want to show to your students? Now, because I am interested on an individual Voicethread, I want to do a presentation. I'm going to grab an individual Voicethread and grab something that I've been working on. So I'm making the students read this document on Bloom taxonomy, and I'm going to ask them a couple questions later in the slide, and the students can respond with their thoughts and opinions, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select click share with class and go refresh, right? So it'll take me back to like select Voicethread. So let's go back to the home page, right? Let's go back to Blackboard. If I click on Voicethread and now I click on class presentation, there is now a Voicethread specifically for this PDF, right? This PDF is now available as something that the students can read. They can zoom in and read through the document. They can go through the various pages. There's 6 pages of PDF that they can go through. Okay, so now you could provide them some questions for the students to answer, or have them comment on what questions they would ask if they have to create their own assignment, right? But let's say you are working on a class that's a little bit in the future, like you know you have a class coming up for the fall, and you want to set up the Voicethreads now, but you don't have a sandbox, or maybe you don't know if the current Voicethread that you've created, you want to apply them for next semester. We now have a homepage that you can access directly rather than go through Blackboard. It is uhd.voicethread.com. If you go to this page, you'll get to their login. If you go to uhd.voicethread.com, you'll get taken to the homepage for Voicethread. You'll click sign in on the top right corner. It's going to ask you to put your username and password. I already have that, so it's not going to show up for me. And then you have all the Voicethread groups, and that involves your classes. The classes that you're currently participating in, you have that available now. You can choose to share, and this is what we'll be touching on the advanced features for Voicethread. You can create a Voicethread just like you would starting from the Blackboard area. You go to create and go to add media, and you have all your options, right? But now we have other options that you can do as an instructor. Now, say for example, you click on the group for the sandbox. You have a couple things you might want to make available for next semester. You can check that box next to the document and then share that or make a copy. So I'm going to copy these 2 items, right? I'm going to select copy of the active Bloom taxonomy and a copy of embedding an HTML document. Doing this copy will allow you to include all the comments or only your own comments. So it's very important for all the comments. You might not want to do that because it's going to take a lot of sifting through to making sure that you're not giving away the answers or anything like that. So you probably just want to include only your comments and just provide them the instructions and let the students rediscover that or provide their answer without having to worry that they might be looking at somebody else's previous comment from last semester. So you can click on include only my comments and then click copy, right? So from the sandbox class, which I've created Voicethreads before, I've gone ahead and copied these 2 Voicethreads. And I'm going to go back to my home, and it's going to show them as copies, right? Then I can go back to edit, and I can edit the title. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the active. I'm going to delete the copy of. I'm going to mark this as fall 2019 active, right? And then I'm going to say, now that you realize after you had the students participated for the first time that this might need some instructions, you can provide those instructions here. So on page 6, provide some example questions that you would formulate using Bloom's taxonomy, right? So you click, you type that in, and now there is new descriptions there. Great. Now you learned from a previous Voicethread that there needs to be some descriptions. Now let's say that realizing that, you also realize that on the first page you could go ahead and add a comment. So let's go there, right? So we click on add comment, right? So this is why also copying your own comments, you have to make sure you go through them. So you go through your comments and see what you have available already. Okay. So in this comment, I explain that this is a document about Bloom's taxonomy. It might not be the most descriptive thing, so you might want to add a new comment. You might want to add a description or a webcam video. I'll ask you to allow for use of microphone and use your camera, and I click allow, and it's gonna roll tape. It takes 4 seconds to get ready, and I'll say, hi, this is my recording. You can go on at length about what the document is. You can jump to the next slide and continue talking about the presentation that you're making. And then we now have a new feature that lets you, not a new feature, but the option to doodle on the documents. You can always do that. So you want to highlight specific words. So for example, you can just do a highlight or underline the specific words. Keep jumping through the document. Go ahead and highlight another set of another concept and so on. And then once you're done, stop recording. It's going to go ahead and let you preview the comment. Right now there's no webcam, but it should be also audio. And if it's to your liking, you click save, right? And as you can see, it jumps to a different page through during the video comment. So we click save, and there's a new video. There's a new webcam comment that students will be able to review once it's made available in your next semester's class. You also have, there might also be something related to specifically with video assignments. There might have been a previous need for a student to have transcript or closed captions. Once those become available on the semester that they're needed, you can go to closed caption, turn them on, and you can add the captions there, right? So that's an option right there. So you can click on that and click on upload captions. If I had any, I would be able to upload them, and then it would be applicable within that webcam video. The webcam comment would have captions. If this Voicethread was a video, like a class lecture, I could upload transcripts as well, and it would have captions just like that. So yes, that's something. Once you develop something for the current Voicethreads that you're working on, they will carry over for the next semester. Or if you need to make changes and modify a previous Voicethread, you can still do so. You will do a copy, make the changes, deploy the new one, or go to the previous semester, make those changes, and link to them in Blackboard, and you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? So that's adding new comments, sharing, copying as options. You can select. The other thing that we have been working with is playback settings. The topic of comment moderation has come up, and it's a pretty useful tool, specifically on Voicethreads where you might develop class questions and you don't want other students to kind of repeat the same answer as someone else because they got there first. You can enable comment moderation, so everybody's comments will be hidden from everybody else. So I'm student number 1. I made my comment, left my answer to the class assignment, and then a student comes in. They will not see student number 1's answer. They will have to respond with their own view or set of facts that they've learned or compiled together before answering this question. So that's what enabling comment moderation does. You can also set a limit, like by default, the limit to each comment is 60 minutes. If you're turning this into a graded assignment, you might have a difficulty sitting through 60 minutes of content. Same thing if you're doing class presentations. If each student is supposed to upload a Voicethread assignment, you might not be able to sit through an entire hour if the student is trying to pad the time. So you can set it up to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, etc. That's your option there. You can select to limit each comment to a certain amount, right? Again, by default, it'll be 60 minutes. So I'm going to click on save. So now if I were to make a comment or somebody else was to do that, now there's a restriction on the amount of comment time that a student can take. So again, a lot of new functionalities, a lot of new things that we're learning as we continue to work with Voicethread. You can always, don't hesitate to add material to a previous Voicethread. Say, for example, you find research or citation or an interesting article that deals with the subject that you were just discussing. You can always add them, but either as a PDF file, you can point them to a URL website, or one of the things that we learn is, say you find a website that points to examples of Bloom taxonomy questions. You can go to the area that says edit, this little pencil right here. You click here, and it allows you to edit the page. You can give it a title, and you can just type a URL. So if I click on links to that empty space, I can type a URL, click save. So now let's take a look at this Voicethread, starting from the beginning. Let's see. Let's go. Starting from the beginning, we play the first line. And the slides that have URLs, they'll have a little button with the URL link indicator. It'll tell you where it's going. If I click on that, it'll take me to the website. And there you go. You have additional resources you want to put in. If you are giving feedback to a student, this could point them to another resource here at the university. The Writing Center, it can point them to some tutoring, etc. Don't let this be just for, don't be limited by just the functionality that exists in this Voicethread area. Again, you could add it as a comment, but if the comments are only, but the comments, you might want to only provide feedback. You can also provide additional resources using that URL as an option.